Welcome back to another crochet tutorial with Cozy Rosie Crochet. Today we are learning how to crochet the Fillet squares. Filet crochet is something that's well loved throughout the community to showcase negative space pictures. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and of course the notification bell so that you never miss out on another one of my crochet patterns or tutorials again. Let's find out all the materials we need to make our very own filet square. So I'm going to be working this filet square in one colour, and I'm using my favourite, the bubblegum pink, which is shade 250 in the PaintBox Yarns Simply Aran. If you're looking to recreate this square for the Hodgepodge blanket crochet along, you're going to need to use either an Aran weight or a worsted weight yarn, which is a size 4. I'm also going to be using my corresponding hook size, which is a 5mm hook, a pair of scissors and a darning needle, just because we want to get those ends woven in as quickly as possible. So gather all of those materials and let's get started. This pattern is worked in rows, so we're going to start by making a foundation, and for that chain length we're going to make it 29 chains. So I've just made my slip knot and I'm placing that onto my crochet hook, ready to start my chain. Remembering to chain, we just yarn over and bring our hook through the loop on our hook. We're going to do that for a total of 29. So make your chain of 29 and I'll meet you back in a moment, ready to continue row 1. So once you have your chain of 29, we're going to start by working 1 US double crochet into the 4th chain from hook. So remembering that this loop on our hook does not count, there's chain number 1, 2, 3, and there's number 4 that we're going to work into. So we're going to yarn over and insert our hook into that 4th chain, yarn over, bring a loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Now these skipped chains of 3 counts as 1 double crochet. We're going to continue working down our chain, working 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So we yarn over, insert our hook under the next one to work our second, work our first, so that's 1, and into the next one to work another double crochet, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're then going to work a chain 1 and skip that next chain underneath. We're going to work 1 double crochet into the next chain and leave that skipped chain unworked. We're going to do that 3 times all together. So we chain 1, skip the next chain and work 1 double crochet into the next. So that's 2, and for a 3rd time we chain 1, skip the next stitch or chain and work into 1 double crochet into the next. So as you can see, we've created these spaces which are going to stay empty. These are our first blocks of filet crochet. We're then going to work 1 double crochet into the next 6 chains. So we yarn over, insert our hook, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We then work a chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet into the next, and we're going to do that 3 times. So that was once, so we chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next for our 2nd time, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next for our 3rd time. We then work 1 double crochet into the next 2 chains to finish this row. At the end of row 1 you've got 6 chain 1 spaces and you've got 21 double crochets. Going into row 2, we start by making a chain of 3, and this counts as our first double crochet, and then we work 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches, So we work 1 double crochet into the next and another double crochet into the next. You can see that we've reached these chain 1 spaces and we're replicating this pattern going back. So we start with, we're going to chain 1 and then skip the chain 1 space and work 1 double crochet into the top of the previous double crochet to replicate this pattern. So we're going to do chain 1, skip 1, double crochet 3 times. So we chain 1, skip that chain 1 space and work into the top of that last double crochet. So that was 1. We do that again, so we chain 1, skip the chain 1 space here and work into the top of this double crochet. So that's 2. We do it a 3rd time, so we chain 1, skip that chain 1 space and double crochet into the top of that next stitch. So we've recreated those windows right on top of each other. We're then going to work 1 double crochet into each of the next 6 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We've reached these chain 1 spaces again, or the windows if you will. So we're going to work that chain 1, skip 1, double crochet 3 times. So we chain 1, skip that next chain 1 space, yarn over and work 1 double crochet in the top of that double crochet from the previous row. That's once, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. That's 2, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. And that's the 3rd one. We're then going to work 1 double crochet into each of the next 6 stitches. And the final one is going to be worked into the top of that chain 3 from the beginning chain. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this 6th one we work into that top of that chain 3 for that final stitch of this row, and that makes number 6. So at the end of row 2 you have the same stitch count, so you still have 6 chain 1 spaces and 21 double crochets. So for row 3 we chain 3, which does count as a double crochet, and then we're going to work 1 double crochet into each of the next 6 stitches. Once we've worked that 6th double crochet, we've reached our chain 1 space, and we're going to replicate this pattern again on top of itself. So we chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next 3 times. So that's once, skip 1, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet for the 2nd time, and then chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next for the 3rd time. Be aware that this is going to change in the next row. We're going to shift where these filet crochet squares are. So we're then going to work 1 double crochet into each of the next 6 stitches. And that brings us back to our chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next 3 times. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. That's once, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the top of that next stitch. That's twice, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, and that's the 3rd time. Just going to work 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches, and obviously we're working to the top of that turning chain from the beginning of the previous row for our final stitch again. So we're looking for the top of that chain 3 to work our final double crochet. So for row 3 our stitch count remains the same. We still have 6 chain 1 spaces and 21 double crochets. So going into row 4 we start by making a chain of 3, and we're then going to work 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. And then in this row we're we're going to work into these chain 1 spaces, so we close them up effectively. So we work 1 double crochet into the chain 1, 1 double crochet into the top of the next stitch, and we repeat that 3 times. So you work 1 double crochet into that chain 1 space, 1 double crochet into the next double crochet, 1 double crochet into the chain 1 space, and then we work 1 double crochet into the next. So that closes those stitches above these chain 1 spaces, and then we're going to work that fillet section. So we work a chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next 3 times. So we chain 1, we're skipping that next stitch, working 1 double crochet into the next, and that was once. So we chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next for the second time, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next for the third time. We're then going to work into each chain space and each stitch across. So we yarn over, work 1 double crochet into the chain space, 1 double crochet into next, and we do that 3 times. So that's working into the chain space, another double crochet into the top of the stitch, 1 double crochet into the chain space, and then 1 double crochet into the next. We're then going to repeat that filet crochet section again. So we chain 1, skip 1, work 1 double crochet into the next 3 times. So let's chain 1, we're going to skip that next stitch, work 1 double crochet into the next, we chain 1, skip the next one, work 1 double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, and then work our final double crochet into the top of that chain 3. So as you can see, we've moved where these filet crochet sections are, and they've all been shifted across, and we've filled in the spaces above the previous filet crochet. So we still have the same stitch count. We should have 21 double crochets, and we have 6 chain 1 spaces. Going into row 5, we're going to work a turning chain of 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and those 4 count as a double crochet and our chain 1, and we're going to skip the next chain 1 space and work our next double crochet into the top of that stitch. So we yarn over and insert to complete our double crochet into the top of our stitch, and that creates a square at that end. Going to work our chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. We're then going to work 1 double crochet into each of the next 6 stitches, and then we're working that fillet section again with our chain 1, skip 1, working into the top of the stitch. So chain 1, skip that chain 1 space, double crochet into the top of the stitch, and we do that 3 times. And then we're going to work 1 double crochet into each of the next 8 stitches. So that final stitch, the 8 stitches worked into the top of that turning chain of 3. So at the end of row 5, we still have the same stitch count, and we've mirrored these filet crochet areas above, I can't say that word, have you noticed? The filet crochet above those previous windows. So going into row 6, so we chain 3, and then we're going to work 1 double crochet into each of the next 8 stitches, and then we're going to work our filet crochet section. So we chain 1, skip 1, double crochet 3 times. We're then going to work 1 double crochet into each of the next 6 stitches before we repeat that chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. And this last one, we're going to work our final double crochet into the 3rd chain. So we'll do that together, shall we? So we chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the top of that next stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. We do our chain 1 and then we work our final stitch into that third chain to replicate that space at the beginning. So now we have 3 windows and 3 windows. So for row 7 we're going to make a chain of 3 and then we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next chain space and another one into the top of the next stitch 3 times. So 1 into the chain space, 1 into the top of the double crochet, 3 times, so that's into the chain space, into the top of the next stitch, that's 2 times, into the chain space, and then a final one into the top of the next stitch. We're then going to work our filet crochet section, so we chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next 3 times. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, that's once, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next for the second time, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next for the third time. And as you can see, we're moving these windows back up again. So from here we're going to work 1 double crochet into each of chain space and double crochet along across the next 6. We're going to repeat that 3 times. So that's 1 into the chain space, 1 into the stitch. And we repeat that for a second time and a third time. We're then going to work our filet crochet section. So we chain 1, skip 1 and double crochet into the next 3 times. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, that's the second time. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into next, and then we work 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 to finish row 7. So at the end of row 7 we've worked the equivalent of row 1. So for rows 8 to 13 we're going to repeat row 2 to 7. Don't forget you can use those timestamps below to find the correct row. And then for rows 14 and 15, we're going to repeat rows 2 and 3 again to complete our square. So continue to work all of those repeats all the way up to row 15, and then I will meet you for our edging. So I've completed my 15th row and I've got all my pretty windows there. I will admit this one's going to need a bit of blocking for me, I'm afraid, but I'm ready to move on to my edging. I hope that you are too. We're going to start by making a chain of 1. And like always, we're going to start by working down the ends of our rows. We're going to aim to work 24 single crochets evenly down this side. So we know we've got 15 rows. So there's not quite every single row end we're going to work into, but we're just going to work as evenly as we can to place 24 single crochets. We're going to try and do that without squishing up our square too much. So work your 24 single crochets and I'll meet you for our corner. So I've worked my 24 single crochets as evenly as possible down there, and I've reached to where my slip knot is, ready to work my corner. So into this stitch where, or the chain where our slip knot is, I'm just going to work our corner, which is 1 single crochet, a chain 1, and another single crochet worked into the same space. And then along the bottom of the square we're going to work into the bottom of each stitch and chain space across. I've got 25 after my corner along the edge here, which is fine, we can live with 1 extra. And for our corner we're going to work into the bottom of this chain 3 that we started off with, or skipped right back at the very beginning. So just insert your hook into the bottom of that chain 3 and work 1 single crochet, a chain 1 and 1 single crochet, and then we're ready to work 24 single crochets evenly along our edge here. So work your 24 single crochets and I'll meet you up at the top for our next corner. That's the word, a corner. I've got 24 going up this edge here, and I've kind of worked into the ends of each of the open rows, because that helps bring out that straight edge. And then we've got, well, I'm going to put 25 along here as well, because we need to work around that last stitch and then into the top of that chain 3. We need to work our corner to bring this edge out. So that's a single crochet, a chain 1, and another single crochet, and then we're ready to work back along the top of this final row, working 1 single crochet into each stitch and each chain space along. So complete that, and I will meet you for our last corner. So I've just worked into the top of my last stitch, and this is where I'm going to finish off my corner. So I'm going to do my chain 1 and another single crochet into that last stitch before I slip stitch to join to the very first single crochet that we made. I'm going to make a little chain 1 as a knot, and then I'm ready to fasten off. I just use my hook to bring that up and out, and that completes our filet crochet square. Now obviously I'm going to go and weave my ends in. I've already been told off that I'm not doing it quick enough, but I hope you've enjoyed learning this technique. I really like it. I think it looks very pretty, and I love the way you can create lots of different shapes and letters and, well, just so many beautiful things using this crochet technique. So I really hope that you've enjoyed learning it with me, and of course I would like to give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, and share it with your friends too. I'll be back with you for another crochet tutorial for another granny square as part of the Hodgepodge blanket crochet along tomorrow, but until then, keep it cozy.